You might be missing out on some important benefits if you're not paying attention during open enrollment season. We're going to talk about what an open enrollment season is, why we have an open enrollment season, and some of the benefits that you should definitely know about if you're in the military. And some of these are pretty new. Actually, one of them just came out this year, so you want to stick around to the end to hear about that one. So first off, what is open benefits season? Open benefits season is really just a window of time that you can enroll, disenroll, or change different benefits that you have. Normally, this is for insurance and things like that, but also the military now has access to 2 different flexible spending accounts that you may want to look into. Actually, I would highly suggest you look into the last one. The other thing is if you want to change TRICARE options and things like that, and there's also access to the FEDVIP dental and vision plans that you want to look into as well. So when is federal benefits open enrollment season? It happens every year on the second Monday of every November through the end of the day on the second Monday of December. So for 2025, this is 10 November through the end of the day on 8 December. Now, if for whatever reason you miss it due to a deployment or something like that, there may be some leeway, but really you want to make sure that you are doing all the changes and checking everything out during the open enrollment season. You really just don't want to miss out on this. Now, let's talk about the benefits that are actually subject to the open enrollment season. Now, this may not be an exhaustive list, but these are the key benefits that I think that military members really need to pay attention to. The first benefits that I think that you should look into or at least know about are the FEDVIP dental and vision insurance plans. Now, this is an insurance plan that is open for like federal workers and things like that. But also if you're a retiree or reservist, you may have these options for you as well. For many people that are on TRICARE active duty, these may not be as useful, but depending on the size of your family and your needs, these might be a useful benefit. I looked at these and most of the plans are pretty cheap, but most of the plans also don't cover a whole lot, so just keep that in mind. One other note about the FEDVIP programs, there's an option to choose between a monthly payment versus a bi-weekly payment. It kind of looks like the bi-weekly is a tad cheaper, but just remember that there are a couple months in the year that you would have that kind of extra week, so to speak. So you want to make sure and compare. And whenever I did this, it was only a few cents difference between the bi-weekly price and the monthly price. So it was really probably just a rounding error. So just make sure that when you're comparing, take the bi-weekly price and multiply that by 26, and the monthly price, multiply that by 12, and then that gives you an equal amount for the annual cost for that program. TRICARE is another benefit that you can change during open enrollment season. Now, this may be more important for our Guard and Reserve friends or retirees, but depending on where you're at and different coverages, this may be something that would apply to active duty folks as well. One quick caveat, the U.S. Family Health Plan is actually a form of TRICARE Prime. So you don't have to switch, or you don't have to wait to switch between TRICARE Prime and a U.S. Family Healthcare option, during open enrollment season. You can do that actually anytime. So like say for instance, when we were stationed in Maryland, my wife and son were on the Johns Hopkins plan there. There's other benefits as well. I'll put a link below to that, but that's definitely an option that you don't have to wait for open enrollment. But for other options, TRICARE Select, TRICARE Young Adult, different things like that, you would have to make these elections during open benefits season, or you would have to have a qualifying life event. And you'll just have to look on the TRICARE website to see what those are. Real quick, if you made it this far into this video, I know you'll get value from some of my other videos. So do yourself a favor, hit the subscribe button to get more for enlisted, by enlisted personal finance content. All right, now back to it. The next benefits that I want to talk about are the flexible spending accounts that we have access to now as military members. So there are actually 2 flexible spending accounts that military members are available to utilize. So that is the Dependent Care Flexible Spending Account, or DCFSA, as well as the Healthcare Flexible Spending Account, or HCFSA. Now, the basic premise of a flexible spending account is that the money that you put into this account is excluded from your gross income. So basically, it's just like, if I was like, hey, Uncle Sam, I never made this money, it literally reduces your total income that is accounted for the year. So it is just really just not reported as long as you use the money in that account for qualifying expenses. And depending on what type of flexible spending account and what your employer, or in this case, the government, allows, that is what's going to determine what money you can pull out of there. You set up the FSA account through the FSA Fed's website, and I actually have a video walking through how I actually signed up for the healthcare flexible spending account if you want to check that out. It's actually a really simple process. It doesn't take a long time, and if you're eligible for both the Dependent Care Flexible Spending Account and the Healthcare Flexible Spending Account, and you want to enroll in both, you can actually do both at the exact same time. One quick caveat about the flexible spending accounts. This is a use or lose type program. So if you put too much money into the flexible spending accounts and you don't use it, then that money goes away. Now, both the DCFSA and the HCFSA have some wiggle room. The DCFSA, you have up to March 15th of the next year to use these funds. Now, the healthcare flexible spending account, you can actually roll over a certain amount every year. Now, the catch is you have to re-enroll, or you have to stay enrolled into the HCFSA for the following year to use those. But you can adjust the amount that you have in there as long as you're putting at least $100 for each FSA, you can have an account open. So this is one of those where you really don't want to put too much money in there. The Dependent Care Flexible Spending Account is the most complex of the two flexible spending accounts. And I actually have a whole article on my website that breaks down how this works and all that. So I'm not going to go into detail on that. If you would like a full video that walks through the Dependent Care Flexible Spending Account, comment below, just put DCFSA video in the comments, and I'll make sure and add that to the queue to be one of my next videos. But the Dependent Care Flexible Spending Account is something that most of us in the military would probably use for childcare, but it can actually be used for other care as well. So like if you have a parent that's a dependent and they have like senior care expenses or adult daycare or something like that, you can use it for that. I know many service members are caring for a sibling that maybe has some disabilities or things like that. So there are different family situations that you do incur expenses for other dependents. And so you really want to look and see what is covered. Now, the other thing is there's a lot of stuff that you wouldn't think of that is covered under the DCFSA. So things like summer camps, before and after school care. It's not just strictly for daycare. So make sure and check out the FSA Fed's website and look for the list of qualifying expenses that you can use that for. The one caveat to the DCFSA is you have to coordinate this with some of your other benefits. So you can't double dip or triple dip if you are getting a subsidy back through a program like Child Care Aware or something like that, or if you are planning on claiming these expenses on your tax return. So that would be for like the dependent care credit. And so you don't want to have more in the DCFSA than your total expenses for one, but you also don't want to have so much in there that you're not able to take advantage of other credits and deductions. And this is one where, like I said, it gets pretty complicated, and I try and break it down the best I can in my article that I wrote on this. And I've actually done some other interviews and things like that. Those links are in the article too. This is one where getting some help with your taxes is probably a good idea. You can use a Mil Tax Advisor through the Military OneSource portal, or I would send people, if you have a little more complicated tax situation, you might want to look at the Military Tax Experts Alliance, and those are people that you would actually pay for. But this is one of those, like, once you kind of figure it out and you understand the program and your income and all that, it's definitely worth it to go through that process. The Healthcare Flexible Spending Account, out of all the ones I've talked about, is the one that I think almost all service members, maybe even all service members, should be signing up for. And this is one that, depending on what your lifestyle is and what else you've got going on, you might have a lot more expenses than you even realize. Now, the healthcare flexible spending account works the same way as the dependent care flexible spending account, where you put money into this account, comes straight out of your check, and then you just literally upload receipts for different qualifying expenses, and then a couple days later, it's in your bank account. Now, this can be used for out-of-pocket medical expenses. Now, for most people that are on TRICARE Prime and active duty, there's probably not a lot of specific prescriptions and things like that, but there's probably a lot more out-of-pocket expenses that you pay for that you don't realize. And a lot of this stuff qualifies even though you wouldn't think it would. Things like sunscreen, feminine hygiene products, contact lenses, all those kinds of things. There's a whole list of qualifying expenses on their website, and I would at least go through that list and just check and see how many of those things you buy on a regular basis. Now, this isn't a substitute for being able to get it for free on post. I always go to the self-help at the pharmacy and ask, if you just need ibuprofen or cough medicine or something like that. I always go to the pharmacy and ask for the self-help and get the free over-the-counter stuff. That's still better. To wrap things up, I just want to say, make sure that you're paying attention to your benefits, and make sure that you don't let open enrollment season pass you by without at least checking into some of these benefits. You work really hard to earn these benefits, so it makes a lot of sense to make sure that you're taking advantage of all of these benefits. And don't file it into the too hard, think about it later category. If you have questions, put them in the comments. I'll do my best to answer every single one of them. And if I'm not available and you need an answer now, reach out to all the programs that are available. All of them have a number you can call. All of them have an email you can contact, and all of them have someone that can help you. So just keep reaching out for help until you get what you need. Until then, make sure that you subscribe so you can get more for enlisted, by enlisted personal finance content so that you can be smart with money and get the most out of your benefits.